After that, you decided to come back to NPC, you said?
My first show back to the NPC in about 2.5, almost 3 years, was a 2014 Phil Heath, and that was where I met Jason for the first time,
Yeah.
and we were actually in the
Same class.
same
Middleweight. Middleweight.
middleweight class.
You beat me,
Hey,
fucker.
you
You beat me that.
that's one thing I can say. And also this other guy, I forget his first name, but
It was
last name's Frazier.
uh,
John Frazier.
John Fraser, yeah.
I can honestly
He's a
say,
pro too.
yeah,
John
he's a
Fraser's
pro
a
too.
pro too.
So I haven't got my pro card in the NPC, but I beat
You
out
beat
two.
me at an amateur show.
I beat two pros to the amateur show, but I just never got, I never stayed to get big enough to like continue going. Or I didn't compete. I started becoming family man. I had a little girl, and it's like, look, I kind of put bodybuilding aside, but
Hey,
I can see that one on Jason.
but he was competing every year. I wasn't competing. I was out 7 years. That was my first year coming back that I prepped myself for that show. And then I did the Battle of the Bay, the
Yeah.
region qualifier,
Uh,
and then I did that show. And I remember I seen him. But I mean, you look phenomenal, man.
I
You look like I
thanks.
remember when I was backstage and I was like, man, this guy. And then I looked at John because John got second, right?
John got third.
Third,
John got third. I got second. This other little shorter, stockier guy
got first.
got
Okay.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing him back then. I was like, man, these guys are like, they got size. I mean, they were short, but stocky. Like I said, but to me, like it was actually Phil Heath back then was a big show. It
That was a huge show.
show.
It lasted till almost midnight that
Yeah,
night,
I
man.
think in our class we had what 18, 16 in our class. Middleweights.
Yeah, in middleweights, there was an easy like 16,
Yeah, it was a
17
lot.
guys. It was a steep show, man. You get on stage and your heart's just like,
Yeah. Wow. Phil Heath, like I
yeah.
know there's other shows that are getting bigger, but
Uh-huh.
that year I remember it
Of
was a
course,
big show.
everybody wants to do the current Olympia champion show. So,
Yeah.
and it was also national
Yeah.
qualifier. So that's what people, again, you get the state, you get the local state. Everybody wants to go to that national qualifying show. So, but yeah, man, that was one hell of a show. I'll never forget that show. I felt awesome doing that show. So, but yeah, um, yeah, that's why I met Jason. Badass.
Could be there. And then they said you did one more show and that's it.
I believe I did two more shows
Two more
after
shows.
that. I did two more shows after that. Uh, but my last show was the following year in October of 2015, where I did the Phoenix Europa.
Well,
I went out to Phoenix. I was with my company, Newbury Nutrition. We got them going. So big huge thank you
let's
to
talk about that. Like, well, once you start with the sponsor, because I think you were the first bodybuilder down here that I knew that had actually sponsors.
Yeah,
How long
yeah.
you been with them?
I've been with them since July of 2013. So I've been with them almost going on 10 years. So they've always backed me up. I've always believed in the product. I love the concept behind it. At first, they took me on as an athlete, as just a rep, just getting the name out. So I was able to, with my network, I was able to get supplements in stores. And, I thank all my clients, all my customers, all my friends that still support the brand. Thank you guys because of you all. We're still here. We're still evolving and making it. So, but yeah, no, they signed me. They gave me a great deal. They hooked me up at local shows or state shows whenever we had the Europa or like the other
As a man, as a the booth,
as
you
a
go to the shows.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, exactly. So I'd go at work, and a lot of people think like, oh, you get sponsored, you get stuff for free. It's like, no, like a sponsorship isn't just, oh, I got abs or I want a show, sponsor me. Uh, a real sponsorship, you're an employee, you
Yeah.
work. Like you gotta sell, you gotta bring in the clientele, you gotta make orders. Like it's like a lot of people nowadays, like don't get sponsorships and ambassadorships twisted with like, oh, I look good, sponsor me. Like that's not how it works. So.
And they're located out of where?
They're located right now. The facility is out of Valencia, California, but they did originate in Lansing and Detroit, Michigan, and they started off only as a local company supplying powerlifters. and giving back to this one organization for disabled kids called Relentless. So they were also kind of doing like a charity work for their community. So that's also respectful
Wow.
on their end, So they never thought that they were going to get this big, So I really do take pride, and I love what New Breed stands for. They always give back to the community. They weren't just up and coming supplement company that just wanted to get into stores and sell people out, or just sign anybody. It's like
And
it's
and
a company
and
about
where?
real
How
people.
did they hear about you? How did you come together with them? Or
This is the thing. They had a booth over at the Arnold in 2013. It was about March, April. Yeah, yeah. Well, the Arnold
they
in
used to have a
2000.
march,
Yeah,
march.
yeah, March 2013. So one of my old colleagues was competing at the Arnold. So he had met the reps and the owner for New Breed. And he comes back, of course, everybody's getting free samples and supplements. And he comes back to the shop, and he's going, I'm looking at all the stuff that he got. And he's like, hey, you're natural. Take this. Tosses me a bottle. And remember, it's just this white silver top bottle called Menace. And I'm like, Menace. And I look at the formula, and I look at the ingredients. And I'm like, I've taken stuff like this before. It's cool, but I'll try it later. I just put it in the back of my cabinet, forgot about it. It wasn't until about a month, 6 weeks later that I finished my current stack, where I'm like, oh, let me capitalize on what I have, because I hate wasting supplements. So when I finish what I have, I always resort to what I have left. Had some carb in, had some pre-workout, and I saw Menace. So I'm like, you know what? I'm out of supplements. Let me give this a run on its own to see how it works. 3 weeks later, I was up like 8 pounds. My shoulders were bigger. I noticed my soreness was down. My workouts were badass. My cardio was better. I was looking at the form, and I was like, what the hell? This is incredible stuff. I emailed the company, and I'm like, hey, my name's, Joe Rodriguez. I do this. I work for this store. I was really impressed with this product. I'd love to work with you guys, or what do you guys offer for competing athletes? At that point, also, I already had my pro card, so I felt that gave me just that little push. So 2 weeks later, they got back to me. I had like two phone interviews, and I met the vice president, had a phone interview with him. First, it was just the ambassador interviewer. Then she transferred me over to the vice president, John Casmar. So, John, thank you. And just after that, we just talked. We had the same mentality. We looked at things the same way. We're able to connect, and uh, it's basically just a phone interview of like, hey, it's not just about you being a pro, or you being ripped, or you liking our product. Like, how can we expand? How can you help us help you, and vice versa?
Yeah.
So they set me up with a contract, and this is what we expect of you. This is what you got to do, and here we are 9 years later, man. So
That is awesome, because
yeah,
that's loyalty,
yeah,
and I think that's one thing that our industry people lack.
yeah.
People lack that loyalty,
Trust
man.
me, I know
You
so
know.
many people that jump from brand to brand to brand because they didn't give me free stuff. They didn't pay for this. Like, you're not entitled. Just because you're ripped, just because you have a title, just because you have this, you're not this whole entitlement mentality has got to go out the window. You gotta fucking work, man. You gotta
It's
work.
yeah, but I can talk about
That's another topic.
yeah, generation nowadays, but it's true, Uh, so that's cool. And who else? You got a couple other sponsors, right?
Yeah, Flex Comics. It's a comic clothing line for lifters with a little geeky, nerdy side. So the owner, Jeremy Agapitos, I always see him at the Flex Expos, at the bodybuilding shows, and we always got along. And I always bought from him. Always repped his stuff. I still rep his stuff. And one day he calls me up, and he's like, "Yo, man, been wanting to ask you, you want to get on the Flex Comics team?" And I was like, dude, I've been waiting for you to ask me that. So he brought me on board early 2016. So since 2016, been repping with Flex Comics. Really awesome, innovative tees, great stuff. So, fun themes. And then I was also sponsored with Gallon Gear, the Gallon sleeves, stay hydrated. And it's really awesome. It's this gallon sleeve that goes over the gallon. I don't have to carry a gym bag. Just stick my phone, stick my keys, my water. just carry my amino acids on the side, and it's fun because at that point everybody likes the gym accessories. You know, everybody wants to accessorize. Like, look at all the gym outfits and gym attire that people have now. Back then in our day, it was just Spalding shorts and a t-shirt,
basic
man. You know,
basic stuff.
basic shit,
You know,
dude. Yeah.
and even and I think the whole thing with the gallon gear is because back then us bodybuilders would carry our gallon.
You walk around
You
the
know,
gallon.
we'll carry gallon.
Yeah.
You know,
And I hated walking to the gym with my wallet,
yeah.
keys, my phone, powders, anything, and you just have a bag full of crap, and it's like it really made your training sessions just a little bit more compact and efficient. So
Cool. So that's you got 3 months. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, no, it was great. It's good.
So are you retired? You thinking of doing another show?
I'm not retired. I'm on a break. And you never really, I mean, you can retire from competing, like Arnold said, but you can never really retire from bodybuilding
Yeah.
because as long as you stay active, you're still lifting, you're still training, you're still bodybuilding, you're still doing it. But do I plan on competing soon? Yes. When exactly? Still to be disclosed, but competition ain't over for me. I do want to come back. I still feel like I still feel I can do it, but I can't. I mean, now that NPC has a classic physique, now I feel like I can. Okay, I don't have to get super big. I can just maintain a condition and regain what I have. Come in at the top of a lightweight or bottom of the middleweight.
Well, it's by height.
Oh, it's by height. Yeah,
How tall are you?
I am 5'7".
Okay,
A whopping 5'7", baby.
I think 5'7" at the NPC level. I think it's 170. I think.
Yeah, about
So that's
170.
like a middleweight. A middleweight back then it's 136. So
Yeah.
that's about a middleweight.
Yeah, because I started, I would cut down from about 180. My off season, I was about 188, 187. I'd cut down to about 174 to be right at the top of the middleweight. So
15 pounds.
15 pounds, yeah.
15-pound guys.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize. You know, it's these guys are packing so much weight and they 30 pounds trying to get it ready for a show.
Yeah.
Don't do that, man.
And it puts a whole lot of stress on your organs, your liver, your heart. Like, organs are muscles too, guys.
Maintaining a good leanness even in off season is key. That's one thing that helped me. I think in my career that I never gained excess body fat in off season. You know, it was always 10 to 15%. I mean, 10 to 15 pounds off stage weight. You know, a good 15%.
And then condition that so that your cut, your depletion is a lot less stressful on the body.
So let's go a little bit off track. You're a vegan now, right?
Plant-based.
Okay.
And this is also the thing. Stuff happened in my life early 2015 that actually forced me to become plant-based.
So that I would always tease myself. I would always tease myself like, this guy doing vegan.
Yeah, no,
bodybuilding vegan. Like it's hard.
I was that guy like, you dumb vegans, you stupid vegetarians. Like, you need meat for protein. You didn't know, but I had some circumstances in my life that actually forced me to become vegetarian plant-based in 2015. And my girlfriend at the time can attest that my entire prep for the Phoenix Europa 2015 was vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for that NPC show for a middleweight. So,
Well, if this is not something
Yeah.
personal, what caused that for you to switch over to vegetarian?
I had a shop in Laredo. My little girl and her mother moved back out here to the valley, so I had to follow. So certain familial issues between her and her family and myself just wasn't quite coinciding, and I didn't want to be away from my daughter. I moved out here with the uh like basically just I sacrificed my store in Laredo, and I came out here practically with nothing. I was homeless for about 3 months, living out of my truck, staying over at Daniel's gym in Harlingen. I would sleep there. He gave me a job there, so I'm forever grateful for him, to him, for that. And I just any money that I'd make, I'd save and I'd scrap up, and we finally got a place together eventually. Uh, and yeah, I was just, I couldn't afford meat, I couldn't afford chicken, I didn't have a place to cook my meals, so it was basically just canned beans, broccoli, peanut butter jelly sandwiches, dry oats, and I was just like, you know, I, I was living out of my truck, man. I was homeless for about 3 months at the beginning of 2015. And then another friend of mine took me in to his place because he had a spare room. So I thank him as well. I lived with him for about 2 months. So that also helped me get back on my feet so that my daughter's mother and myself, my daughter can get her own place and finally, live together. And at the time, she was also going plant based, so it really helped me stay as a vegetarian. And I say plant based because a lot of people have this idea like, oh, uh, plant based means just plants. You only base out of plants. Technically, that's true, but I was having meat, or I was having like a fish or a lamb once a week, maybe twice a week. So most people are eating meat 4 times out of the day. I was having it 4 times a month. Everything else was plants, vegetables, fruits, and grains. So that's where my plant-based term comes from. So I just continued on the plant-based lifestyle. And I never thought I'd be that guy, like actually being plant-based, vegan, vegetarian, whatever you want to call it. But I say plant-based because I still had dairy, I still had cheese, I was still eating egg. So,
And something like that's new to you, So you're saying you got into that because of the little lifestyle that made you go into that,
or just the change
the
and
change.
yeah,
But then you actually started did you like it and did you just want to keep it up or
I liked
you
it.
know?
I kept it up until about 2020, 2021. That's when I kind of went back to eating a few more meats or started incorporating more beef, So just recently I've been a little less plant-based, but I still practice a plant-based lifestyle. But from 2015 to 2019, for 4 years, 4.5 years, I was vegetarian. Yeah. Yeah, so and honestly, I love the vegetarian lifestyle. It's so simple, it's fresh, you get all your micronutrients because a lot of people are about macros, macros, macros. Macros don't work without macros. That's my mentality, and I that whole prep for 2015 just blew my mind, made me a believer in a vegetarian plant-based
How
lifestyle.
did you go in prep that way? Like what did you research then? Did you like get books or how did you know? Because I mean plant-based eating is one thing, but
Yeah.
trying to get into a show conditioning with that type of diet, how did you manage that? Did you have extra protein shakes in to make sure you got protein in, or how did you
No, honestly,
adjust it?
most people were eating like 6 to 12 eggs a day. I was eating 6 eggs a day, three in the morning, three after my workout. Everything else, I shit you not, was black beans, quinoa, hummus, and a plant-based protein shake. Yeah. And it really was just more sweet potato, a lot of broccoli, avocado, uh, and a lot of quinoa and black beans. That really was my diet. And again, my girlfriend at the time could tell you like, yeah, he ate fish or lamb once a week. Once a week. It was basically just like a Sunday or a Wednesday type thing, just to get some animal protein or higher amounts of protein in for that and for my prep. So I was doing that about 6 weeks out. Once a week I was having like a salmon or lamb. That's all I stuck to. I didn't do turkey, I didn't do chicken, I didn't do beef, red meat, anything like that. And not that I studied it, because, of course, coming from a nutrition background, as long as you know how to put together your calories, you already know how to balance off your micros to your macros. And at that point, because when you're going with a macro diet, with a standard diet, it's easy to get all your protein from one source, and then you just balance off your fibers and your carbs. For plant-based, you only eat one or two sources, and that's all you eat because you've got all your macros and micros in one
One
source.
source.
Yeah. So it was super easy to just make a pot of beans, throw in some broccoli, throw in some avocado, and you're set. It was easy to make a pot of lentils with all the different vegetables, and you're set. That's all it was. It's so simple.
But now you're saying you're kind of going back to the
Yeah.
norm.
I'm kind of going back to the norm. I allow myself maybe some meats, 3, 4 times a week now. Maybe every other day I'm eating something because going back to Laredo, ah man, the fucking Mexican food. Like I can't.
Seriously, that's your weakness?
Dude, I love Mexican food, and not for nothing. I go to my grandma's house. You can't tell your grandma no. Your grandma has tacos made. Your grandma has some barbecue brisket. Your grandma has some deshebrada or picadillo or something.
You
It's
gotta
like
eat.
it's
You
like
gotta eat.
no, grandma, no como eso. No, you can't say that. You're like you got to sit down. You got to
You can't tell grandma no.
exactly. Tengo esta chuleta. It's like, okay, grandma. Like yes, like yeah. So that's where I strayed off. Can I be more disciplined? Of course, but right now I'm not competing, not in any type of training or discipline. So after about 7, 8 years of just being disciplined, complete competing, I figured I can take a little bit of time off and give something back to myself and just ease off on it. Like, because dieting in itself is a little stress. So
So what is the life of Joey right now? Like you said, you got 2 kids or 1 kid?
I got two
Two
kids.
kids.
Yeah, I've got a 7-year-old, soon to be 8, and then I recently had a newborn. She's 3.5 months, just about. So I'm just playing dad right now. I'm just working, helping people achieve their bodybuilding goals and aspirations, and just personal training, running accounts for New Breed. I'm keeping my lifestyle right now simple. I don't want to stress. I'm getting close to 40 right now, so I'm chilling. I'm cool. I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish in bodybuilding, except for that prestigious NPC pro card, but it ain't going anywhere. I'll be back coming for you. Yeah, but
So you say you're still training
yeah,
at a gym, or you do
I've got a home gym. I've got a home gym.
just you do
I've got
one-on-one training at your home gym?
I do one-on-one training. I do house calls, or I train at my uncle's. My uncle has a little muscle barn,
Okay.
so he's got a shed in the back with all the equipment. So because a lot of the times right now you have to be employed by a gym to train at a certain gym,
Yeah.
unless it's like a local gym or freelance gym or a personal training studio that allows you to take your clients and you give them their undivided attention, which is totally awesome.
And you still coach? Because I know you coach a couple of athletes a while back.
Yes, yeah. I still coach people for bodybuilding, figure fitness, classic stuff like that. So I don't promote myself too much of that. So it's more like a word of mouth because I still have my part-time job at a nutrition shop. I still run accounts for the nutrition company, and I ventured off into a couple of other hobbies that I've been meaning to get back to. That bodybuilding just takes up a lot of your time. So I'm still with my band. So we're still practicing. We're still getting together. We're getting ready for a few shows. And I've touched back into my geeky, nerdy collector
I was
side.
gonna say,
So,
I see your stuff. That's
yeah,
good, man. That's
so,
cool.
I mean, I love comics. I grew up with comics. I grew up with collecting action figures and stuff like that. So I resell action figures. I do some deals and I actually got back into it because of the pandemic. Like, or before the pandemic, actually, I was already like, you know what? I'm not bodybuilding. Let's go back into collecting. So I started getting stuff from when I was a kid. But when the pandemic hit, gyms closed down, nutrition shops closed down. I mean, nutrition shops closed down. So I was like, so my income went from like 100% to like 60%. So it's like, damn, I gotta find a way to make ends meet. And there's crazy people out there that'll pay a certain dollar for a certain figure. So I started putting stuff on eBay. I started joining these collector groups on Facebook, and I was like, yo, I got this figure from 1994. They're like, I give you $40 for it. Bam. Or, but so 5, 6 figures a month of sale, like that's another 500, 600 bucks that I could easy, but depending on the stature of the figure of the collectible. And I started going back into that, and it's been badass. And it's like I get to be a kid all over again.
Is there like certain ones that are very valuable that you have?
Yes.
What's the most valuable?
Yeah, right now one of the most valuable ones that I have is maybe close to about 220 bucks. Uh, some can even go for as much as 350 on the higher side, but no, I don't have any like $1,000 figures
Okay.
right now. Not yet.
But,
Some of
what,
them
what,
are
are, what are
cheaper.
they? What are they?
Old GI Joes, some old GI Joes, some foreign company Street Fighters, some 1988 Playmates, Ninja Turtles, Toxic Crusaders. some of the old cartoon stuff, like stuff from the late '80s, early '90s. Some Toy Biz X-Men that they just don't make anymore. They're just like exclusive releases that they've only made a few of. So yeah, those I ain't getting rid of anytime soon. Those will
Yes,
probably
sir.
be passed down to my kids. Like, oh hey, you need. I mean, who knows what they'll be worth in
Worth
the
it.
future?
Yeah.
But hey, you need $100? Sell this figure, or for whatever it is, you know.
I remember I used to love Jet Hills. I used to have a lot of Jet Hills when I was in it. Then I would have like, man, if I would have saved them back then, that
Oh,
would have got
it's,
it, bro. I didn't think about it. You like
and some figures, it's like now I see them and I was like, I had that. It's going for 650 right now. Like, man,
right?
yeah.
I remember your mom's like, you don't want to sell it? You sure you want to sell it? Like, I'm gonna sell them.
That's not 50 cents. The order for back then. Like, just like, oh, goodness, like, the hell was I thinking? You know, it's like the original turtle band from the Ninja Turtles, complete, even loose, goes for like 400 or 500 bucks right now, man. But I wasn't into Star Wars. Star Wars, the
Yeah.
original Kenner are also like up there in price, ridiculous. Like, holy shit! It makes you wonder, like some of these like
Well, I think what
collectible
happened was
pieces.
that when they came back with a new movie and the new this, I think that helps their value go up
It
too.
it helps their value go up too because one, there's nothing like the original.
Yeah.
But two, some of these re-releases, these remakes, the articulation is much
Yeah.
better. Base sculpts, the paint apps, like, and that's also something that nitpicky collectors also look at.
Yeah.
It's all like, oh, there's a smudge. Or like the notorious collectors, Hot Wheels collectors. Holy shit, there's a smudge on that car. It ain't worth it. Oh, this car's still die cast or it's a metal, or like you gotta look for this. Some of these Hot Wheels, some of these
They
Hot
know
Wheels,
they know their shit, huh?
exactly. They know their shit, but I don't dabble with Hot Wheels. I just buy Batmobiles and I'm cool.
Well, as a natural bodybuilder and coach and trainer, what advice would you give to this new generation getting into the industry?
Hire or follow somebody who's been in the industry since the early 2000s, maybe even the mid 90s. Follow one person for at least 2 years before you take advice from a bunch of different people that just started training 3 or 4 years. Listen to one person because you start listening to 4 or 5 different people, you're going to get 4 or 5 different contradicting concepts and ideologies, and it's just going to confuse the hell out of you. And then you're going to go back to, what do I do? This person said this person said this. People nowadays are like, I need to change my diet, or I did this tweak, I did this tweak. Your body works on rhythm. You got to keep the same thing going on for 6, 7, 8 months plus to actually get full effect of something. Now, a lot of people, they look great in a swimsuit, they look great in a tank, but that doesn't mean you're going to look great on stage.
Thank you. That's one thing I've always told people. There's a difference between transformation and stage lean. Stage lean is a whole different ballgame. You're taking your body to the extreme, extreme, extreme. And I think nowadays, you have these new coaches, like you said, these, coaches that are starting out. They were coached by somebody, and then they were coached by somebody, and all they're doing is getting that information and just trying to pass it on.
Exactly.
But
And that's not really a coach, that's just relaying what you just practically learned. I didn't actually start coaching people until my third year of bodybuilding with about 4 or 5 shows under my belt. Because, it's you really do want to give your clientele and your customers good personal you want to give them good advice but also personal insight and experience.
that's the key right there. Do you understand? He prepped himself, as I prepped myself. We know what works, what doesn't work, on the concept of it, why, the science behind it, If somebody can't prep their own self, they got a different coach, because they can't prep their own self, then they want to prep you. What does that say?
I
What does
coached
that say?
I coached your coach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's go to Star Wars. You're gonna go with Anakin, or you want to go with Yoda?
Yeah.
Who are you going to go train? You want to be, your
With
Jedi? Who are you gonna go with?
we're gonna go with Qui-Gon.
Quick, oh, there you go.
Rest in peace, Qui-Gon.
But you can go with Anakin
Yeah.
because he was with Obi and then Qui-Gon. And I mean, you want to go with a master, the one that taught him,
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what happens, nowadays is that they have this coach, and they learn from them. And then they go on and then they start to teach this person. This person should have really go with this person because that person taught that person. You know, everything about it. You know, logically. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And also for supplementation, keep your supplements simple, especially if you haven't taken a whole lot or you're still wondering about certain supplements. Keep your diet, keep your supplements simple. And if you're not even 22 or 23 yet, don't even, I would suggest don't even think about juicing up or shooting up. You're still at the, even at 21, 22 in today's era,
So yeah,
you're still young and you're barely leaving your last stage of puberty. Like
foundation. You gotta build that
foundation,
foundation, guys.
foundation. Yeah.
It's build that foundation and grow with that naturally. And put your body to the extreme naturally to hit that peak first. You know.
And until you actually really find your natural potential or you feel like you hit a brick wall and you're going to make it a career and stick to it long term, hey, by all means,
Your
whatever
choice.
you want, your choice.
Your
Yeah.
choice. But it's true, like like one thing too is that I've been with my company Jack for a good while, and the product's just insane good. I love them, I trust them, and I that's what I recommend. There's a lot of companies out there, there's a lot of these supplements, but like you said, knowledge of the supplement itself, know what you're really taking. You know, there's a lot of these supplements that have blends and blends and blends, and you don't even know what you're actually getting. You know, so know the product. You know, if you need advice on product, hit me up, hit Joey up. You know, so it can give you the right, amount of supplements, So, what's your Facebook and IG? Where can somebody reach you there?
Facebook, Jose Luis Rodriguez. Of course, that is like the most common name. That's like a Juan Garza, Juan Martinez
In the
in the
valley.
valley. You know, they're everywhere. But my Instagram is mystic.bodybuilding. And if you're familiar with Captain Planet, it's a little Captain Planet profile picture. It's a public profile, so have at it, check it out, shoot me a message. I'll give Jason some info so that maybe you can put it down in the
We'll put
description
it on the
below.
links for you
Yeah,
guys. The breeder each
yeah.
month,
So anything at all, I'll leave you the link to the company so that you could check out some of the supplements, check out the label, see if it's something that you can benefit from or add to your already current arsenal of supplements.
Well, like I said, if there's any Q&A, you want any questions for Joey or myself, go put them in the comments. Maybe we can do a second follow-up video with all the questions you have about us. You want to know about our prep or, stories that we went through, anything, put some questions on the comments. So be sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up if you like the video, give Joey a follow. If you're looking for coaching, my website is coachjasonmartinez.com. Team IG, Team Jack. Follow us here on Texas Bodybuilding News. You know, stay healthy. Get that last rep in. Till next time.
Yeah.
Peace.
And also, thank you again, Jason, for having me on. Follow this page, subscribe to it, keep up with it because again, this demographic needs the insight. People learn a lot. You'll hear from the people that have lived it, have been through it, all the different stories. And I think what you're doing here is great. It's awesome. So
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I learned a lot from Joey. I mean, I known Joey for a good while and known his career a little bit, but knowing the background of it, it's pretty interesting,
yeah,
to hear about that. And that's one thing we
thank
want
you.
to do. That's one thing we want to do is give a platform for all, our local bodybuilders started, the OGs, original people that here that people don't know about, give them a platform to talk about their story, their fitness journey. And that's what we're all trying to do. So again, see you guys next time. Peace.